watching Radio Free Cybertron. For the latest Transformer news, reviews, and more, visit tformers.com.
This is Radio Free Cybertron, episode 358, recorded April 9th, 2014. I am your host, Brian Kilby. With me on the show this week, we have Topher, who I will refer to as Chris from now on. We have Diecast, Don, and Melvar. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Good evening, everyone.
Pretty good.
Hello, hello.
Anybody?
Watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Watch it.
It's good now.
Go see Captain America 2, Winter Soldier.
We'll
First,
go
and then
watch it.
Two or three times.
Yeah.
Go see it 2 or 3 times.
It's my second viewing. I hope to have a third this weekend. It's excellent. It's the best Marvel movie so far.
I saw it in IMAX 3D. Well worth it.
And just a little note, DC might as well give up at this point. Warner Brothers, you're not going to cut it. Captain America 3 is going to debut head-to-head with Superman Batman, and Superman Batman will lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now.
Calling it now. It's over.
Cap is going to freeze Superman Batman so bad they're just going to have to let it go.
Yeah. It's true.
If Cap 3 comes out against Superman Batman, I'm just going to stand at the movie theaters all day and go see Captain America over and over again. So
it's really that good. No, but no spoilers. I loved it. Loved it. Not a whole lot going on with me this week. I ordered, I think it was last week or so, at some point I was able to, thanks to XV, land Whirl through Hasbro Toy Shop, but it's on pre-order. So I'll get it at some point. I got that Rhinox that I didn't want. It's sitting in the living room. It's still in the box.
but you got it at a discount.
I did.
I convinced Brian to buy a toy he already had.
And that's not the first time that's happened. In fact,
that was the best when I texted Brian and I was like, World's in stock at Hasbro Toy Shop. He's like, XV already told me and I got it. And I was like, XV to be nice kind of scares me.
Yeah.
Be afraid.
Be very afraid. But anybody land anything cool this week? Really nothing much is coming out here in the U.S. and all of us are in the U.S.
I've gone looking and all the shelves and pegs are still bare.
Yep,
I have a double cross, a double dealer and a Whirl heading my way, but that's about it.
My Masterpiece Rap Bat with free Sound Blaster finally came in.
You like it?
So, yeah, I didn't take Sound Blaster out of the box. I slid the box out, cut the tape, opened the clamshell, took out Rap Bat, put the lid back on, and slid it in. So yeah, I played with Rap Bat for a little bit. It's nice. It's it's a Masterpiece cassette, so I don't think there's anything. I mean, Laserbeak was probably the best one out of all the cassettes.
And he's the one I broke.
Yeah, a lot of people broke him.
Yeah.
Either at the wing or my one friend said he actually broke his head broke off somehow.
The one of the tail fins broke off of mine. It was sad. But I still have Buzzsaw, so but yeah.
I've been checking all the stores between here and my mother's house that I'm doing some work at, and there is nothing in this part of Virginia or Central North Carolina. There is nothing. I mean, every Walmart only has some Beast Hunter stuff. There's no deluxes of anything except Toys R Us still has the Centurion Armada Starscream Wave, and that's it.
Actually, speaking of going back to the Masterpiece stuff, I was having a conversation with Tformers 90 on Twitter this weekend and a couple other people, and it was about Masterpiece Hot Rodimus and the fact that it's a flaming pile of crap. So
it's not that bad.
It's a QA nightmare. But Tformers 90 said that the arm on his just completely snapped off. Just like it was just sitting there and the arm fell off. Now, our friend Alan Young, who was on our Outside the Cage podcast, that literally the same thing happened to him as well. But he had the second wave of the Takara release. Tformers 90 actually had the Hasbro release of this toy. Same thing. I have the first wave Takara release. The arm's still there, and I'm looking at it right now. But I am, honest to God, afraid of this breaking at this point. So
I
your track
have
record?
Hasbro. I have the Hasbro first release. To be honest with you, I could not get all the way through the transformation, so he has only been semi-transformed once, and he's been in packaging ever since.
So I basically just passing this along. Oh my God, Don, that sounded awful.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Mute
next time.
Sorry. The window Massey was laying in, he suddenly ran off, and it was a lot of cold air coming in.
Is he okay?
Oh no, he just every time he sees a bird fly by or something in the back, he automatically thinks it's in the front. Gotcha. So he runs back and forth from window to window trying to track something.
Gotcha. But yeah, so if you have Masterpiece Rodimus, check it. Put like some sort of blessing on it. A window, not a window, a circle of protection, whatever. I want a redo on this toy so bad. If this were a domestic release, if mine was a domestic release and this happened, I would demand a refund on it.
Well, I'm just wondering though, Brian, with the new smaller scale, if they made a new version, would that have enough mass to accommodate the transformation? Or would it need to be completely redesigned?
He's in scale with MP10. They're not going to do a new version. I mean,
I'd like to get a new Megatron. I mean, that's kind of asking for a lot.
No, I don't think so. I think that's bound to happen.
It won't be a US
he'll probably
release,
be a tank.
Obviously, unless it's a tank.
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, they may take some liberties and do, since with Transformers Prime, and do an alien.
I think really, if it's going to be a masterpiece toy, it's either going to be a tank or it's going to be another gun.
I would hope a gun.
I easily see a tank.
I would take either, honestly. But I think I said tank before, but at this point, I'm pretty confident we would probably get another gun.
And hopefully,
I'd rather have Galvatron anyway.
Me too.
Agreed.
I would love a Masterpiece Galvatron.
G2 Megatron.
Yeah. But if you have the chance, check your Hot Rodimus and make sure that that it's still in one piece. Let's see here. On the show this week, we have the news, Q&A with Rob Springer. I hope I haven't gotten it from him yet. But I fed him some questions yesterday, so hopefully I'll get a copy of that video here in a few minutes. And also, we have This Week in History. So let's go ahead and start off with This Week in History. In 2004, the Transformers game for the PlayStation 2 was released in the US by Atari. Who else has this? I have it.
I have it.
I have it.
See, that's the fighting game?
No, that was the Armada game.
Armada.
Oh, Armada. I have never beat that game.
That was the first game, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was the first game you could actually transform mid-game.
Not count. That was so you could transform mid-game in Transformers Mystery of Convoy for the Famicom,
and the PS1 version you could transform.
Yeah, and you could transform in the Game Boy Color game. So no, that's not the first one.
Okay.
And you could probably transform in the Headmaster's Famicom Disk System game. And probably also, I don't know about the C64 game, because I've actually never played it, but I have the disc. I would actually like to play that game. I need an emulator. But this was the first good Transformers game. Relatively speaking.
For anything Armada tie-in, I enjoyed it. I can never get to that far island to get the minicon you needed to beat Tidal Wave, though, because that minicon had some special firepower upgrade, and I could never get it. So I just sort of gave up.
I haven't played it in years. I need to go back and play it.
Me too.
But it was a really good game. It really was. Going back a little bit farther, 1998, I was surprised by this. Beast Wars debuted in the UK. I thought it was before that. Because it was 96 in the 95 or 96, Don, which was it? 96 in the US?
Beast Wars.
I want to say 96.
I think it was 96.
I can't remember.
But yeah, 98. So it was a couple years later is when Beast Wars debuted in the UK. The reason I think that was interesting is because, of course, back then I had a lot of friends in the UK and they were all into Beast Wars and they knew about it. But I guess that was due to tape trading. That's how we got stuff back then, kids. We traded tapes through the mail.
Well, like I said before, I was trading Kmart Legends Bumblebees for tapes of Master Force and Victory.
I was lucky enough to be really into the wrestling tape trade in the 90s. I got my hands on a lot of awesome stuff. But for Transformers, yep, that was, it's crazy, but that was really fun. But of course, I was also able to get my hands on things like Headmasters and all of the Japanese series back then. And oh god, I remember getting really bad 5th generation copies of like Transformers the movie and G1.
And look at us now. We've gone from tape trading to torrenting.
Or buying on DVD.
But we were grateful, Brian. Younger people nowadays don't realize how good they've got it. We were grateful for 5th generation copies.
Yeah, we were. But of course, we wanted 5th generation copies of the original airing, not copies that were pulled up, not 2nd generation or 1st generation copies off Sci-Fi Channel, because those were edited. We're old. We're so old.
It's sad that I'm actually missing Sci-Fi Channel's animation station.
Oh, you and me both.
That's how bad it is, because nowadays there's no programming blocks for cartoons. It's like, and as bad as Animation Station was, it was still better than what we have nowadays.
I think the last set of series to air on Animation Station was Ronin Warriors and Bionic 6, maybe.
Let's go ahead and jump to the news. So, first up, this popped up like right after we did the show last week, which is always the way. The Transformers BotCon exclusive figure, the third in the series, was announced, and it's Scorponok. So not only is it Scorponok, it's G1 Scorponok, based off the Energon Scorponok mold and repainted, with a new head, which is a remold of the Spike head from Encore Fort Max. That's crazy. Now,
and the faceplate visor is based off the Scorponok commercial / Rebirth opening head.
Yes. So I'm not going to sound like I'm not what's the right word for this? Grateful. Appreciative of the effort, but I'm not in love with it.
I am in love with it.
I love it.
I think it's amazingly interesting. It's a confluence of a lot of different things and ideas and stuff that I never expected. One, it's piecemeal from another mold. That Spike figure is from another mold. So they had to remold Energon Scorponok. I'm one of the few people that like Energon Scorponok, and I never really wanted it in this color. But the fact that it's they had to go to all this effort to make this happen, I am really impressed by that.
And it's a Headmaster.
It's a real honest-to-God Headmaster.
That's the biggest wing for me. I mean, kudos to the resurge of the Headmaster, because Lord knows I've been asking for a Headmaster, Target Master. You know, I do own my wonderful third-party Warden. That's my beautiful Headmaster crack. But this, I like the mold of Scorponok. I like it. Don't love it.
I'm impressed by it, but I don't need it.
I do like it. Again, I'm not going to gush on it. I do like it. It's a Headmaster, and I'm always glad to see the Headmaster concept revisited. But I think the fiction will really help out on this figure being where it stands in its place in the set. But with the Headmaster being Zarak's son, I find that very interesting that they're going that route as well. So I want to see the fiction behind this almost as much as I want the toy.
Yeah, we'll see how this turns out, Don. When you get it, take lots of pictures.
I am really happy with this because now in this set we're getting a Headmaster and a Target Master already, and we don't even know what all the figures are.
Yeah, I think
awesome.
I'm not going to say that they're knocking it out of the park, but this is definitely at least a triple.
Well, I think this really just showed where they were going outside the box with this set. The whole Pirates versus Knights thing, I think, is really.
It's what, an inside the field home run, whatever it's called. I think we'll go with that.
All right. I want to change my opinion. I don't like this as a BotCon figure. I would have loved this as a Transformer 3.0 figure. Because then it would have been a lot easier for us to get if we weren't going to BotCon.
3.0 subscription service.
Yeah.
God, that would be expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, that's with that remolding. You with the subscription service, you probably wouldn't have the economies of scale of production to make that even feasible.
Yeah, we might have gotten like 4 figures in that set. But
does this mean the box set's going to be more expensive because this is one of the largest figures you've gotten in that box set?
Who knows?
Yeah,
probably.
Probably.
It may be. They may have less add-on figures to balance it out. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Moving ahead, we have new photos from the Miyazawa Moke Spring. I guess at a toy show exhibition in Japan. Of a few things, most prominent being more photos of Drive Megatron, which I think is. And again, it's a novelty. It's a Megatron.
Like it.
Yeah, it's Megatron based on the Mega Drive, which was the the European and Japanese version of the Sega Genesis. Same unit, just a different name. It's weird, and it's really dated. And it's not like the Mega Drive was around during the height of the Transformers popularity. If anything, it should be the Master System or the Power Base. Was it the Power Base? Is that what they called it in the UK or Europe? It should be. It would make more sense to be that. But with that said, I still kind of want it.
I think the one thing I've seen is where everyone's asking, where's their SNES Optimus Prime now?
That would be funny.
Actually, I think I've got
a Super FamiConvoy.
The first thing I thought when I saw this was the cassette or the game cartridge that's sticking out of his chest. I would be like, how great if that was Laserbeak, because Megatron, in G1 was pretty much the one controlling what Laserbeak did anyway. Yeah. So
I would like for this to be like a playable game console, like Web Diver, but it's not going to be. But it's not like they haven't done that before. Also from the exhibition, we have a couple other things, photos of the ice tray, which I think we talked about before, but I wasn't aware of this new model of Alpha Trion that's coming out. Did we talk about this before?
Not that I remember.
I didn't. Not that I remember.
I mean, it's a model kit, or it's a model. It's Alpha Trion. It looks nice. It doesn't transform, not that it would anyway. So, whatever.
Hey Brian, I'm putting in the Skype and the chat windows. I don't know. This is artwork that I just randomly found online one day. I don't know if it's concept art, if it's fan art, but it is the Super FamiCom as Optimus Prime.
Oh, wow!
It's the Famicom, the original Famicom. That's neat looking.
It is.
Yeah. So again, I don't know.
FamiConvoy. Yeah, I like that.
So.
And he even has the wires coming out into the controller because the controller was hardwired into the unit, unlike being a separate piece like in the US. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, it'd be nice if we got a Super FamiConvoy. That'd be pretty sweet. Let's see here. Jumping ahead, we also have in the news this week new photos of Generations Tankor. And let's see here. Anything else?
Who cares about Tankor? I want some more Rat Trap figures.
Hey! I want.
Yeah.
I want. My only issue. I wish it was a Voyager.
Yeah, it looks pretty small.
It needs to be a deluxe.
It needs to be someone other than Tank Order.
Sorry. I
I
almost agree with you, Don. I'm really fond of Tank Order as a character. I'm really fond of Tank Drone as a toy. And this is a new look. I don't hate it.
I'm sorry. My dislike for Beast Machines is extending to this toy, which is not fair.
I understand, and trust me, that is the flack that I get all the time because I am actually a Beast Machines fan.
Second season's fantastic. First season, not so much.
Not so much.
I've never even seen Beast Machines.
Then
and
get
I
off this podcast right now and go watch it.
I wouldn't even know where to find it.
It's only 13 episodes. We'll wait.
Machines?
Go to amazon.com.
It's just it's Tank Order. I swear I think I like the Tank Drone just as much as this.
I think Tank Drone is probably going to be better than that, but that's me.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So they are going. I won't show the story because it's all text. But Hasbro will be working on toys based on the Transformers Universe MMO. I'm honestly a little surprised by that.
Now, is that the one that still hasn't come out after 4 years?
It's in beta. It's in beta.
Okay.
It's in beta. But the funny thing is, I tried. I haven't gotten my invite that I signed up for at BotCon 2012. So I assumed that
They
I
lost them all.
Did they?
Probably. I mean, I made a character at New York Comic Con and was supposed to get one of the first betas, and I used the email address that I've been using for years. I've never gotten anything from them.
Me too. And I really wanted Billy because I created Billy, and I wanted him, and I didn't get it. But yeah, so that's happening. So that shows that Hasbro either A, is in need of more IP, or B, they're really behind it, or possibly C, all of the above.
Well, I've also heard that it's possible that they're talking about, taking characters from the game. They've actually already taken 2 or 3 characters designed in this game and used them as Prime characters.
Okay.
So then that could possibly mean we may not get anything else, but it is a possibility that we may get more figures, that were, based on this game.
We'll see. It'll be pretty
like you
cool.
said, needing IP.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, Transformer Cybertron, the complete series, is coming out August 5th from Shop Factory. If you haven't seen it, or if you want to enjoy what is, I guess, the best of the Unicron trilogy, again, this is the one to pick up. It looks like it's going to be about $30.
That's not bad.
No.
I didn't pay that when it first came out.
Does that include Unicron trilogies? Is that going to be on there?
Well, Unicron trilogy is Armada,
all
Energon,
3.
and Cybertron.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is 1/3 of the Unicron trilogy.
Yeah.
So it's the Una trilogy.
This would be the
Ron trilogy.
Yeah, Ron trilogy.
Yeah.
Ron trilogy.
So if you want that, get that. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't hate Cybertron.
It's the best one of the 3.
Yeah, out of the 3, it is the best.
Yeah, it's got the most likable kids of the 3.
Oh God, Don.
I mean,
Don likes his kids.
Of the 3, Diecast, shut up. But I'm just saying. I'm saying as far as it not being nerve destroying.
In the words of M. Bob Saget, it's not kicker.
Yeah. So, also, we have new photos of Tailgate and Ground Pounder and Scrapnel with Reflector, the new Generations Legends 2-packs. I have mine pre-ordered. I hope they actually materialize. I want them so much. Here's Scrapnel and Reflector. Looks really nice.
I still want
These should be out soon too, shouldn't they?
Should.
Allegedly.
Should
'Cause I have mine pre-ordered, and I think they're for this month.
I thought Cosmos would have been out months ago, but
We all did.
Well, I don't know, man, but look what happened to the Waspinator wave. I saw that wave one time, and that was it.
That's going to Ross. It's just taking the slow boat. So it'll be there in a couple months. They had to have made more than what we've seen in the store. I just don't understand how they would only make, say 1,000 pieces of one wave when all the other waves typically get 10,000. And I'm just throwing numbers
just making
out there.
numbers baffling. And tailgate with ground pounder. Yeah, really, they look really nice. I really want them. I need them. I really do. At some point, I will have those. Let's see here. Is that it? Yeah, that's it as far as the non-third-party news go. We also... I probably shouldn't even mention this, but I'm going to. We have a first look at the TSE Toys Star Dino Team, a.k.a. the Big Lots exclusive set. Yeah. It's just not working.
It needs some tweaking.
Yeah.
I almost prefer my Power Core Combiner Dinobots over this.
You should prefer your Power Core Combiner Dinobots to that.
At least the color scheme in combined mode is uniform. The colors I have no problem with. Everything's balanced and you've got highlights here. So the colors are nice-ish.
They're just weird looking.
It looks like what the Play School Dinobots would combine into.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that old joke. Do the Dinobots combine? If you hit them hard enough together, they do.
Yeah. So it's not really knocking these so much because they're something different. They're not, Are these even supposed to be the Transformers? Like, third-party toys are typically Transformers knockoffs. Is it supposed to be like Grimlock, Swoop, etc., or these, independent
It looks
characters?
that way.
Okay, then they're terrible.
Well, I have to say, I like this better than Energon, Swoop, and Grimlock.
Everything is better than Energon, Swoop, and Grimlock.
That's true.
Agreed.
That's very true.
Yeah. This really looks like it belongs at Big Lots.
Maybe
Or Family Dollar. No, we're not. Probably. Actually, that's probably an untapped market for a lot of these toys. If the third parties could up the production, they could totally sell most of these things at Big Lots or whatever because they don't care. It's not like Walmart or Target's going to buy this stuff, but Big Lots, Family Dollar, Dollar General, hell yeah. Finally, in the news, unique toy sound mixer, new in-hand photos from TF Source. TF Source has it for $75. General consensus, it's a nice looking toy.
Too small.
It's a little too small. And I didn't know this, but what cemented that for me in pre-show, the cassettes are non-standard micro cassette size. It's not interoperable with KFC stuff or with existing first-party cassette toys.
Or the G1 cassette toys, for that matter.
Yeah. So it's not... it's a nice-looking toy. I don't hate it. I think it hits all the notes that it needs to, except for that interoperability that it's lacking.
Well, two things. I said this in the pre-show. I do like the way that the cassette he does come with turns into the gun, which I just find that a really innovative way of having a cassette and his rifle without just sticking somewhere on the back. And two, maybe the next release will be a pair of cassettes that become platform shoes for him.
Yeah.
What's with the chest armor and the shoulder pads?
That's what I've been trying to figure out.
Is that comic? I just assumed that was comic related.
No. Nope.
The running theory is it's part of something bigger for future releases.
I hope so.
Yeah.
As it is now, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
And then the crown of thorns on his head?
I thought those were glasses.
Are they?
Aren't they like... Aren't they like glasses of some sort?
Crown of Thorns.
I'm being dramatic, but
okay. I don't see that thumbnail anywhere.
Yeah, I thought they were like micro.
I guess, but
I do like the way that his handle becomes the heels. That's a very innovative way of getting rid of the handle without it just being stuck somewhere on the side of the figure.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and jump to Q&A with Rob Springer. Hopefully, if we have it. If not, I'll have to edit this out. And after that, we will come back with a topic that occurred to me just in time for the show tonight. How big of a nerd are you anyway? So let's find out after we come back after this break.
Radio Free Cybertron is teamed up with Kokomo Toys and Collectibles in Kokomo, Indiana. If you're in the Kokomo area, visit our store for a huge selection of new and classic toys. Visit online at www.kokomotoys.com for our address and store hours. While you're there, check out our listing of pre-order items, as well as visit our eBay store. Visit us at www.kokomotoys.com. That's KOKOMOTOYS.com. We're also on Facebook.
You boys a bit bored? Snap into it! Snap into a Slim Jim!
Hey everybody, it's Rob. And this week's question comes from Twilight Warrior. I just want to say I really like that name. It's like, I want to see that painted on the side of a van with like a unicorn busting through a wall, holding guns. In fact, I just want anything painted busting through walls. I think something busting through a wall makes it automatically better. And so what it could be really anything. It could be like a ladybug busting through a wall, and it'd be hardcore. Usually I do it more oomph than my busting through a wall, but I just woke up, so yeah. Well, Twilight Warrior goes on to ask, Rob, in the new Transformers movie, will Grimlock talk like he usually does, or will Grimlock speak differently like some of the new characters? I know Bay is an asshole. I didn't pre-read this, so I'm not sure. Thanks. Well, Twilight Warrior, you know, I'll be honest with you. I get the feeling Michael Bay is probably a really cool guy. He's just, you know, you got that friend you really like, but he does things and you're going, dude. You know, you're like, oh, you're listening to that? You know, I get the feeling Michael Bay is like that, because if you see his interviews and all that, he's like, what? You know, he's just kind of clueless a little bit about it. So, you know, he might be a really nice guy. We'll just never know because of the way he handles our movies. But if you ever, like, hung out with him in person, it's like, man, Michael Bay made me hamburgers. And go figure, they're really good. You know, he was actually around fire and it didn't explode. I mean, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. It hasn't come out yet. But I will throw a quick spoiler warning out there. Because, you know, people watching this there might be somebody who hasn't seen the news blurb or whatever. So spoiler warning, guys. If you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead. Basically I couldn't tell you a time, but hit fast forward till you no longer hear my voice. So there's your spoiler warning. There's a clip that was floating around in news sites a couple of months ago of a voice actor basically doing the voiceover for Grimlock toys. Now, from what I understand, I swore I heard somewhere Greg Berger was doing the voice in the movies. So maybe this voice actor is just a sound alike for the toys, because, you know, money reasons probably costs a little less. So the voice didn't entirely sound like the Grimlock we all know and love, but it didn't sound bad, but it still did the sort of savage speak. But once again, it was a little different. Now, I don't know if that's a reflection of how Grimlock's going to talk in the movie or not, but it could be. So, judging by those voice clips, and who knows if they're even correct, like I said, as a excuse me, it was a voice recording for a toy. It might have been done separately than the voice recording for the movie, so he might have took some liberties, or whoever was doing it and took a little liberties with it. The reason I say that is in the 2007 movie DS games, you guys know Daniel Ross. He did the voice of Starscream in those. Well, he's spoken a few times. First off, Carl, the guy, Carl, I'm scratching on his name here. Like I said, I just woke up. The guy played Apollo in the Rocky movies. He was the voice director on those games. And at the time they were doing the voiceover tracks, they didn't have any lead-in from the movies. It was kind of being done to the side. So they're just kind of making up the voices as they went. And he wanted Starscream to be British. And Daniel, he was like kind of having a hard time. He really wanted to be on the project, but at the same time, it's like, that's not how he should sound. So he basically told him, hey, Starscream kind of more sounds like this, and they did sort of a closer to the original voice, I mean, just a little gravelly, because in the movies everything's super gritty and orange. There's a dog barking outside. I wish you would shut up. It's like, I don't think dogs understand I sleep in the day. But so the reason I'm bringing that up, and of course in the game Starscream sounded the way he did, more closer to what you expect him to sound like. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because they did that all on their own, and it was just by luck that it sounded somewhat like, Charlie Adler did on the movies. Now, I hate that dog. But, being that this is a toy, they could be just making some crazy voice sound, monster. And like I said, the enunciations weren't exactly me Grimlock or whatever, but it was still kind of caveman-like. They might have been doing that just for the sake of kids, trying to speak them to teach them proper grammar also. However, he could be also sounding like that in the movie, so no one really knows until the movie comes out. I mean, we might get a clip here soon of him speaking. So let's see, okay? So basically, Twilight Warrior, damn, I love your name. I'm gonna make a new character in Terraria named Twilight Warrior now, because you got an awesome name. Yeah. That's it. I don't really know what the time will tell, but judging by those clips, it was still pretty savage and Grimlocky, just not exactly the same. So hey, thanks for your question, Twilight Warrior, and any of you other warriors of the rainbow or whatever got any questions, please send them in to rob@tfradio.net, or just check out tfradio.net for all of our shows and showtimes and our social networks. A lot of people send me these questions on Facebook, so however you want to do it, don't send it to Google+. I mean, you can, but I probably won't know it's there till the moment's not passed and you think I've ignored you. I haven't. I just didn't see the question. So yeah, rob@tfradio.net. Send it our main email, however you want to send it, through social networks, through whatever. Go to my blog, roborobspringer.tumblr.com. First off, check out what I'm doing. Check out my blogging. Sometimes it's updated often, sometimes not. But there's a Ask Me Question thing right there. And I might answer you right there, but I'll probably also use it in the show. So keep on sending them in. I'd love all the questions. And hey, hi, how you guys doing? All right, I'm going to eat now. I started eating a delicious salad, and I would like to finish it. So thanks everyone for your questions, and see you next time. Right on.
You can hear our show on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your iPhone, Android phone, BlackBerry, or Palm phones. On demand and on the go. Don't have Stitcher? Download it for free today at Stitcher.com or in the app stores. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
So, as I was saying before the break, this came to me just before we started the show. Who was it that asked about taking a toy to dinner?
That was me.
So what was your question was like, have any of you brought a toy like out to dinner? I'm assuming that you're talking about like fine dining or like dinner with meeting up with somebody with friends and family or whatever.
Yeah, friends and family, just, not at your house. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that you would consider Denny's fine dining, but it's a restaurant.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm like, well, how big of a nerd are you? And I thought, I've done that. I'm a pretty big nerd. But really, so how big of a nerd are you guys? What's like the nerdiest thing, the dorkiest thing, the geekiest thing that you have personally done or are known for? Diecast, let's start with you. How big of a nerd are you?
Oh, I would probably take something out to dinner if I didn't think other people were going to look at me strange. So I've never gone that far, but definitely like just getting Transformers for Christmas when you're 30 years old is kind of, I feel like that qualifies.
So what did your coworkers and family think when you told them that you were going to Toy Fair 2014 to cover the exhibition for a podcast?
Yeah, they thought it was kind of strange, but they were like, I'm like, but it's not a convention that's open to the public, so it's okay. I mean, they know I go to New York Comic-Con, so I mean, it's kind of in the realm of what I would do anyway, even if I wasn't on the podcast. But Toy Fair was an interesting experience. I mean, I enjoyed that more than, well, at least the Hasbro event in particular. I enjoyed that more than New York Comic-Con.
So, Melvar, how big of a nerd are you? What sets you apart from other nerds? Is there anything? I mean,
I think I'm kind of a bad nerd, actually.
Really? How?
Yeah. Just nothing strikes me out of the ordinary.
I could see that. You seem to be a pretty straight-laced, normal dude. Like, meeting you, you're like this, I mean, no offense to anybody, but Don and I have been around the block for a while. We know there are a lot of really interesting people out there. And you just...
Melvar, you are not interesting. So
you are interesting. Oh, well, I'm using interesting as a euphemism. So, I could see that. Don. I'm going to skip over you. I'm going to skip over you for right now because
save the best for last.
You and I are going to probably talk for a few minutes on this stuff. But okay. Chris, dude, you're a nerd.
I'm the conservative nerd. I know which people I'm getting around. Even though if you walk into my office and you will see wonderful figures such as my Deathstroke, my Voltron, and I mean, I'm good right up until I part my lips. And I see if you're heading in that direction, then I will head down that path with you. And a lot of people are taken back by that. They're like, oh, well, I didn't know. You don't give that appearance that you know this, this, and this.
Don, we'll talk here in a minute. Have you guys had the experience, like Chris is saying, that somebody finds out that you're into like Transformers or whatever, and then they start picking your brain? Then you have to sort of how do you react to that? When somebody asks you like Transformers, what do you like about Transformers? How do you respond to that?
Believe it or not, I haven't had too much of that interaction. None of my friends are into Transformer. I mean, the friends I grew up with in high school and, all throughout school, and none of them are into this stuff. I'm the only one. So in a way, I kind of felt very sheltered for a long, long time because I almost thought I liked this thing that no one should like at my age. So I was kind of embarrassed by it in a lot of ways, and that's probably why I would never take a Transformer out to dinner. But I've kind of came out a little bit more with the, with my hobby and collection, now that I've been on the podcast and I meet other people my age who are also into Transformers. I'm like, oh, this isn't such a, a bad thing, such a negative thing that I like this at my age. So I've never actually had anyone come up to me and be like, I like Transformers too, that was just in a regular like work environment or anything like that.
So I work in a really large office with thousands of people, and most of my office is IT. So it's not uncommon for people to have nerdly tendencies. But I try to keep it hidden at this point, how much I'm into this stuff. Like 10 years ago, when I first entered the professional world, my cubicle was wall-to-wall Transformers. I had like Masterpiece Prime, G1 combiners, Japanese figures, posters, everything. Literally, my cube was full of stuff. And if somebody stole something out of my cube, it was not going to be a small hit. Like my cube now, I have a couple of, because I work at a major retailer, and there happened to be a Transformer themed for that retailer during Dark of the Moon. I happen to have several of those, iterations of that character in my cubicle, which is cool because, hey, company pride and all that. But my old team, my old team was very well aware, and they really accepted it, like really, really accepted the fact that, I'm on a podcast. I don't know to what extent. That I've traveled, go to conventions. When my old boss, who was awesome, I love her to death. She's a friend. I don't report to her now, so I can say she's a friend and not my boss. Her first day at work, I wasn't there because I was at Universal Studios Florida covering the opening of Transformers: The Ride. And she started with me not there, and everyone told her, yeah, Brian's in Florida covering Transformers: The Ride for a Transformers website and podcast. Okay. That pretty much colored her opinion of me forever. I'm not going to say colored, not tainted, because I don't think there's a negative connotation, but the fact that, she was cool with it. But I've tried to keep this very on the down low on my new job since I've started my new job. And I thought that nobody knew about it until Friday. I was on Thursday or Friday. I was taking in a car with one of my coworkers, and she was telling me about how her friend is an author and how she goes to conventions and she helps out at conventions and has tables and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I've got experience doing that. I've done tables. I've done panels. Then I thought, well, crap, I'm going to have to just say what it is. So I have a podcast, I said. And then just without going, she said, I know. I've listened to it. And I'm like, well, how do you know? And then she said, she paused, you told me about it. I'm like, I didn't tell you about it. I'm like, and I've known her for 3 or 4 years. I'm like, okay, so I must have told you about this years ago. Yeah, it was years ago. Yeah, you told me about this years ago. Okay, great. So, fast forward a couple of days, and there's a new guy on the team. He was in a meeting, just happened to be with my wife. They were talking about me. It was like she tends to do. And he told her, yeah, someone on the team told me I needed to Google your husband. And, yeah, so the cat's out of the bag with that one. So I'm going to have to start owning it up to it. But even there, unless you actually delve into the podcast and, blog posts and Usenet posts, you're never really going to get a full picture of how, invested I am into this thing. But I am really kind of worried. A little, not worried is not the right word, apprehensive about sharing it. But the cat being out of the bag, I might as well do that. But sharing that stuff at work, depending on the environment, it's not easy. And you're really kind of putting yourself on the line a little bit, because historically, there's been, what's a good way of putting it, a stigma on being a nerd or a geek. I think that's gotten better. You guys would agree, right? Being a geek is now kind of cool thanks to terrible TV shows like Big Bang Theory and such.
Yeah.
And mainstream movies being based on comics, making bazillions of dollars.
Yeah. So, I mean, they don't expect me, I hope, they don't think I'm like living in my parents' basement or anything. But for years, that's what I joked. You know, I live in my parents' basement. I didn't. I live in someone else's basement. But that's a true story. But no, it's. I'm really worried about people finding out. Melvar, in your work, do you have any friends that you tell this stuff about?
Oh, yeah, I have a friend I can talk with wrestling about. I work with a guy who does a lot of cosplay. Another friend I actually go toy hunting with on occasion, and I can talk to him about Toko or Transformers or Gundam or anything because he likes it all. And I did think of something nerdy that I do. In the spring and summertime, I tend to work a lot of weekends, and every year I pre-schedule Free Comic Book Day off.
That's awesome.
And I tell them it's a religious holiday.
Well played, sir. Well played.
So, Don?
Well, most everyone where I work, you know, I've been with this company for almost 17 years and 16 years at this one store. But they know I'm into science fiction and, you know, anime. They know I'm into it, so that's why they volunteered me to run the Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day on Saturday mornings when the kids would come in and play in the snack bar when we had the snack bar. They volunteered me to run the Yu-Gi-Oh demos for 2 hours every Saturday because they knew I was into that kind of stuff. I don't think very few people know the extent of my collection outside the Transformers fandom, and of the few people that do know, they think they know, but they've not actually been to my apartment.
I need to remedy that, Don.
And they've not seen this. They've not seen my collection of Brave. They've not seen the wall of carded figures in my bedroom. You know, it's just. But again, a lot of that for me was compensating for other things, you know, in my life that's been going on. But nerdy, I mean, my whole life I've been a nerd. You know, I was sick. I was sick growing up. I couldn't get out and play sports without collapsing with pneumonia. Heck, the first 7 years of my life, I was in a croup tent every year for bronchitis or something. So I spent a lot of time reading, watching television, and that's where my love of books and all bad science fiction and all that comes from. So yeah, people at work. You know, I've got a friend that I got hooked on Kamen Rider. I got him hooked on starting with Kamen Rider, and some Sentai. We talked Doctor Who. He doesn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so he's wrong. But you know, I've got a few friends I can talk to with stuff like that. But that's why BotCon is so important to me. Is in this area, the few friends I've got are so few and far between that I can speak to them and stuff like this. And I really don't want the people at the store to know the depth I'm in it, just because the fact that there is still that stigma. You know,
there a little bit, I think, or at least it's carried through with some people.
It does. And again, you know, I look like the stereotypical geek. You know, I got no hair, I got glasses, you know, it's just...
Hey, what's wrong with glasses?
Don.
Yeah,
There was a guy at Shardicon who, and I hope I don't offend anyone, was wearing a shirt that was probably a size too small.
Oh, that was me.
Had his pants up past his belly button.
Oh, that was me.
And I had the same shirt as that particular person. I refused to wear it the whole weekend. The shirt was ruined for me.
So was it a Transformers related shirt?
Yeah, it was an Autobot shirt.
One of the weird hang-ups I have, if I'm at a Transformers convention, I'm not wearing a Transformers shirt because I'm a Transformers fan, and you know that because I'm at a freaking Transformers convention.
I was just like, I didn't realize the shirt was given to me as a gift. I didn't realize it was that popular. Like everyone had that.
Was it the Luau shirt?
No, it was just the gray shirt with the colored Autobot logo on the front, and like everyone had it, and there were people wearing it who probably shouldn't have been wearing it. So I refused to wear the shirt the whole weekend.
So Don, I want to add a little bit to your how much of a nerd you are. Don is so nerdy that the Transformers design panel knows him by name.
Well, 19 out of 20 BotCons. I mean, yeah. I mean, this face. You can't forget this face no matter how many drugs you take.
Yeah.
So I will say the nerdiest thing I probably do is two things. One, if I get a notification that one of the authors I follow on fanfiction.net has updated at 3 o'clock in the morning, I will get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to read the next chapter of some stories.
That is awesome!
Because there are some very good writers in certain areas. Very good writers.
Now, you met my friend Mark at that comic convention, but you never got to meet Dusty. You and Dusty would probably high-five you by saying that. He still loves fanfiction.net.
There are some very good authors that they deserve to be published authors as well as they write. But probably one of the nerdiest things I do is if I've got some new figures to open and I haven't had time to, and I'm not grossing anybody out, I'm just saying, you know how with guys, if we have to go to the bathroom, we'll take a magazine. You know, it's one of them things. I will, on occasion, take a Transformer and read the instruction manual and. But while I'm there,
do you take a pair of
material?
You take a pair of scissors or toenail clippers to like clip them out of the box.
I mean, if I'm not going anywhere and I've got a pile to open, I mean, you know, I'm being productive with my time.
And that way, if it happens to be like, you know, Transformers Prime Deluxe Black Arachnia, you can just throw her in the toilet when you realize that she's a piece of crap.
Not when I paid full retail for her before I saw her.
So Don, are you done? You have anything else?
I'm done. I think I've grossed.
So I've got a couple, and I guess I want to start by saying one. Some people will find this nerdy as hell, and some people won't. Depends on how invested you are. More casual fans will probably think, you know, that's ridiculous. And our more hardcore fans or our more antisocial fans, it'll make sense. I have more friends in the Transformers fandom than I have in real life. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm the most popular person in the world, but I have lots of friends. People tend to gravitate toward me, seriously. But I know I have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people online in the Transformers fandom, long-term friends that I've known for years, that I've gone to their weddings, I've gone to the birth of their children, etc., 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 and I know them all through Transformers. You know, I have people that, you know, I would take lots of people that I would take a bullet for that I only get to see at BotCon. So, I mean, that's pretty bad. Probably the thing I'm most nerdy about, and I almost hate to say this because it sounds like congratulatory, but, you know, in the summer of 1999, I did say, hey, I work in radio. I've never heard of a radio program that was about Transformers. I wonder if I could do that. And without any other, you know, podcast, because they didn't exist, or any other, you know, example to go by, I created an online radio show about Transformers. It's one of the first, it's probably the second podcast ever, so far as I can tell. And the second podcast ever, it wasn't about sports, it wasn't about movies, it wasn't about, you know, politics, it wasn't about whatever. It's about Transformers. That's pretty awesome, and I did that. So, that's pretty cool. So, but yeah, so I make my wife another. How nerdy am I? Every vacation we took last year circled around Transformers, or revolved around Transformers, and so far this year, every vacation so far is in some way around Transformers or the podcast.
Yeah, Brian, you heard like a cruise somewhere with no stops near any stores.
That's what we need, a Transformers cruise. Good thinking, Don. Good thinking.
Hey, they got rock and roll tours.
That's true. Transformers podcast tours. Or that would be pretty cool. Let's see here.
Stan Bush could do the music.
Yeah, they could have Stan Bush as a guest on the cruise. He could play some music.
Get Vince Nicola with him.
We'd have movie night. watch, 1984.
Yeah,
You could watch the whole series probably in 2 nights.
I'm trying to think. What else am I? What else? How nerdy am I?
So nerdy that you're turning your wife into a nerd?
I am turning my wife into a nerd. Thank you, Chris. I posted to Facebook a couple days ago a picture from my wife's cube at work. It's now full of Legos, thanks to me. I was pretty proud of that.
That should be Creos if you want to be, even more.
I did actually offer
One
to
step
give.
at a time.
Yeah, I did offer to give her
Baby steps.
But I don't know what I would give her besides RC or Slipstream. So I don't really, because it's all females except with the exception of the crew cast from the Lego Movie. How big of a nerd am I? I'm one of those nerds that, in a way, is stereotypical. Because I can talk hours and endlessly about, my favorite Transformers series or my favorite Transformers cartoons, but I can't really talk hours or endlessly about the cool accomplishments that I've had in other aspects of my life.
I'm the same, Brian. I can recite the movie line for line.
I can recite the movie line for line,
and
too.
I couldn't tell you what's going on in the world today in a major sort of way without looking everything up first.
I haven't watched the movie in 3 or 4 years, but I'm pretty confident I could still recite it line for line, word for word. I need to watch it again to see if I could do that.
Don, I got the news for you. They still didn't figure out where that plane is. That's pretty much what's been going on in the news.
Yes, that's sort of eclipsing everything.
I don't really have anything else. I could show you the room. But that's my display and collection is way crazy compared to some people. But compared to most people I know, it's pretty much nothing. But compared to the lay fan thinks I'm like my friend Matt, his then girlfriend, now wife. They visited my apartment like 11, 12 years ago, and every room had Transformers in it. And she thought that I was some sort of psychopath serial killer because it was so disturbing. But again, Rob Springer had 5 times as many Transformers as I have.
You should try showing up for a date in a Transformers Camaro like I did.
That's pretty sweet.
That's a different ballpark, though.
That was... And then you come back to my house and I have Transformers in my living room.
That's where some people might get a little,
I have a small house, so in my defense, it was one of the only places I could
So there. I don't live in a large town, and I've gained a lot of weight since then because I lifted weights like I ate food like a weightlifter until I hurt my back. Then I still did it. But my friend Mark, before he and I were good friends, he was invited to my apartment by the landlord to fix something because he was an electrician. He had no idea where I lived. But he walked in, and with all the Transformers and all the weights and lifting equipment in the room in the apartment, he just said, "This is Brian Kilby's house." And he was right. So that was pretty cool. I need to start lifting again. But yeah, I say I don't know that I'm an alpha level nerd, but I'm at the very least a beta level nerd.
If we're going by that scale, then I at least got to be a Charlie Delta. Wrestling fan. My collection was pretty much reserved for one room, and then Sharticon happened, and then they started slowly seeping out into the dining area with the DVD collection, then slowly into the living room area. Then my fiance is starting her small collection, so...
Well, I've always been, since day... I can remember when I first started, the top of my dresser. And I remember my dad saying, I had Dinobots, I had some Mini-Bots, just your typical dresser, about 3 drawers across, 3 drawers down. He says, "You got enough of them things?" And I said, "Yeah, this thing is. I've got a lot of them, Dad, but I don't think that we'll be doing too many more of these things. And I think I'm going to have probably enough unless they make something really nice." That was 40. That was 35 years ago. 30 years ago. So I I think I'm alpha. I'm coming down off the alpha peak. I'm wanting to get rid of more stuff. I've got too much. I can't enjoy it. It's time for the stuff to go. But I think everybody just needs to realize that there's nothing wrong with being a geek. Just buy what you like, but just remember one thing: you're eventually going to have to get rid of the stuff.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna die. Someone else is gonna have to get rid of it.
I want to save my wife from having to do that.
Yeah, not to be a downer.
I've had to do it too. I know what you're going to say. I've had to like get rid of my family's. Like I've said it before. One of the reasons I did the podcast is I had a lot of free time back in the day, but back when I was a teenager. Yeah, I was a teenager at that point because I had a sick mother, sick father, and in the course of 18 months, I lost my brother who lived at home and my two parents, and I had to get rid of their stuff, and it's not fun.
And I'm gonna say this just to make the point. I think a lot of us here, with the passing of JD, I think that really brought home a lot of the fact that we need to try to plan ahead for this stuff, because I don't think any of us want to put anyone that we love through this.
Yeah,
I don't have anybody left. My mom and dad are gone. I have an aunt, but she's a little bit older than what my dad was when he passed away. And I've got cousins, and they're great cousins, but they've got kids in their own lives.
Yeah.
So I've got to take control of this stuff and say, okay, it's been fun, but it's time. I'm
going to consolidate down to the 100 or less. I'm going to try items that I want to keep the most.
I'm going to go with 500 at first.
There you go.
I'm saying, see, I've got carded figures, just like my carded visionaries. They're not going anywhere. There's some, and then once I get down to a manageable number, then I'll look at okay.
Yeah, my long-term goal is 100.
Yeah,
I have no way of doing that anytime soon. So, but I know Amanda has to. We're going to have to work toward helping her get rid of a lot of JD stuff. So, it's never easy. I want to save my wife from that, and hey, in the process, I can make some coin. I can pad my savings account. So
exactly.
Okay, guys, I think that pretty well wraps that up. You can find us at facebook.com/TFRadio and on Twitter at TFRadio, and we are on YouTube at TF Radio Network. I am personally on Twitter at BKilby. Topher, I know you've got a lot of stuff going on. How do people find you and your projects?
You can actually find me on the Bell to Bell website, Facebook page, which is the Wrestling Podcast, which is home on Radio Free Cybertron. Thank you, Mr. Kilby. The Facebook page is facebook.com/thebell2bell.
And at prowrestlingpodcast.com.
Correct.
That's how you get to the website. And you're on Twitter, right? Or are you not?
I am. I'm just not as active. You can find me on there on my Twitter. I'm basically posting quotes. I am Topher. I am Topher 21. Sorry, and that's where I'm at on Twitter.
I don't even know that I'm following you. I need to.
Diecast. Fix that then.
I'm fixing that right now. Yes, I am fixing it.
I'm on Twitter at Diecast2, and I'm on Facebook, but I don't really use it. So.
Yeah, you don't post much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melvar is incognito. He's not there. And Don.
I am on Twitter at HMRC for EVR. You can also find me on Facebook as me, Don Ferguson. That's really about it. That's about it.
I think Don needs to write it down on a sheet of paper and hold it up, and then just hold it there. That way people can read it.
I used to do an overlay on video for everybody's Twitter account, but it was such a pain in the butt to manage that I stopped doing it. God, it was hard. I need to put that in the closing and opening credits, though. That's a good idea. And you can find all of our podcasts at tfradio.net. We have, of course, Radio Free Cybertron, which you are listening to right now. We have Bell to Bell, the wrestling podcast, Turtle Lair podcast, which is a Ninja Turtle podcast. We have the now monthly Nebulon Pirate Radio podcast, which is another Transformers podcast that Chris... Actually, are all three of you guys on it, or is it... Who's? Yeah, so Ninja
Myself,
Dave...
M-Bob Saget, and Ninja Dave.
So those cats are on there. We have Superhero Time, which is our Toku podcast. You can also find it at tokupodcast.com.
Superhero Time.
And haven't had an episode of Fanboy Versus, except we had one a couple months ago. Still thinking about whether or not to bring that one back. It would have to be, of course, without JD. JD was the host of that show, so it's kind of, bringing it back or not is sort of a prickly proposition, but I think we'll probably come to a decision on that sooner rather than later. Spoilers, we're actually going to do a Captain America Winter Soldier review on Fanboy Versus this weekend, so that'll be posted hopefully by Sunday night. So, do we have anything else? Am I forgetting anything? Occasionally, new Soundwave. We haven't had one in a few months, so that one may end up going into the retired bucket. But we're always thinking about new podcast ideas. I have about 50 projects on the back burner that I want to do, but I try to keep myself to one podcast a week.
And figure reviews coming soon. Yes. Very soon.
Yeah, we're going to do more figure reviews. Diecast is actually going to start doing figure reviews on YouTube. So we have a few up. John and I have done some over time, but it's not been a regular thing. Diecast has he has a replenishing stock of new toys like every week, so we're going to take advantage of that.
It's not quite as good as XV's Bag of Infinite Holding, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. So I guess that's it. Guys, thank you very much for being on this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. So for the fellas, I'm your host, Brian Kilby. We will be back next week. Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.
Later, folks.
This has been Radio Free Cybertron. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Watch our live stream at tfradio.net/live. Join our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/tfradio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, TF Radio Network. Have a question or comment? Leave it on our Facebook fan page or mail it to contact@tfradio.net. This podcast is released under a Creative Commons license. Any part of this podcast can and should be redistributed, but please, proper attribution is required if you know what's good for you. Jeez, when are these guys ever going to move out of their parents' basements?